Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Best Ever You show. I'm Elizabeth here with the amazing best-selling author, Kristine Carlson. How are you? I'm losing my breath
Hi.
already. Look at that.
Hi,
It's so cool.
Elizabeth. It's
Hi.
so good to see you.
Yeah. We were joking before we went on. I've got, everybody knows that. So I'm 55 now. And so I have one thing that's hot for when I'm cold. So this is coffee. And the other thing, if I turn beet red in the middle of the conversation, this is ice water. The hot
Oh
flash.
yeah. I've been through that. I'm 61, so I
Wow.
went through that a long time ago.
Oh, just the worst. So yeah, you turn beet red, all of a sudden it's like, no, 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 nothing's wrong. Just a hot flash, everybody.
Yeah, you
Pause the
stand at
camera.
the
But
freezer. You stand at the freezer for a really long time.
yeah, my husband's fiance is here, and I was saying, does your mom have this? And she goes, yeah, she just goes outside in the winter time or whatever when they have it. It's
Your
pretty funny.
husband's fiance?
No, did I just say that? Okay, we're gonna cut that out. No, not my husband's fiance. My We're gonna start that over. My son's fiance. My husband does
I was
not have
like,
a
I
fiance.
didn't know about that. I
No,
haven't heard
no.
that one. I guess polygamy is a real thing.
No, no, no. Okay, we're gonna cut that out. Yeah. No, so my son's fiance is here, and I asked her about her mom if she has hot flashes all the time because we're about the same age, and she says she just goes outside in the wintertime. But that's pretty funny. I'm like, yeah, you just go stand outside and here in Maine. So
I think
anyway,
it's funny because men, like, at night, they're like all suddenly want all the covers, and then women are throwing the covers off.
yeah, like dying. Yeah, my mom bought me. My mom was funny, right? She bought me this portable fan that goes around your neck and just fans the whole time, cool air. I'm like, that's pretty
Oh,
funny. And
that's pretty
the
funny.
boys,
Isn't it? That sounds good though, right?
it does. The boys are like, this actually works, mom. So anyway, all right. All kidding aside, because I love your books. They're, you are the author and co-author of Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, the book series, and you have a new book out that's in pre-order called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff Every Day. So
Yep,
right
it
off the
is.
bat, yeah, there it is. Don't sweat the
Yep.
small stuff every day. So everybody can go to don'tsweateveryday.com or KristineCarlson.com. The book's available for pre-order. And I just want to tell everybody that. And we're going to do some giveaways on besteveryou.com. And what else were we going to do? I think that we have coupons and things like that for your store.
Yeah, I have a Don't Sweat Goods store. So there's just
Yeah.
everything from coffee mugs to onesies and t-shirts. They're all really high quality things. And I'm going to give you a 40% off coupon for the holidays. So
All right. So this is our first time at Best Ever You interviewing you. So let's just sit back and listen because it sounds like you've got a lot of things going on with like women's retreats, books, all this stuff. Just tell us a little bit about where you want our audience to go other than pre-ordering.
oh yeah, well, I mean, should we just talk about just
Anything.
share the stories and all that stuff first, and
Yeah,
then go to what
I
we
think that'd
promote?
be so nice. Yeah, to like how have we arrived at this point? You have a new book out. You certainly wouldn't have to have a book out, right? If you didn't want to. So you have a passion for self-help and helping people. And I know you've got a lot of expertise with the other books you've written about grief and loss. So yeah, start wherever you want because this is going to be an introduction for everybody to meet you.
Yeah, well, hopefully, your audience is familiar with the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff book series. It's been around for a long time. My husband and I, my late husband and I, were really kind of pioneers right after the Wayne Dyer, that kind of first group of psychologists. We were kind of pioneers in the personal development space, especially Richard. He was Dr. Richard Carlson, a psychologist himself. And he wrote Don't Sweat the Small Stuff in 1997. And it was during a time where the world was really kind of we were entering into a high technology phase. That was when .com was coming out, .com.bomb. That was when, we hadn't entered the social media stage, but it was coming. And people surprisingly were very overwhelmed by technology. And so Don't Sweat the Small Stuff really hit a chord, not just in America, but in every country around the world. So that book sat on the New York Times for over 100 weeks in the #1 spot and sold millions of copies its first year. And it was different than my husband's other books. That was his 10th book. And so it was a totally different structure. He chose that short chapter structure. Yeah, and it was a crazy time for us. Super fun, super amazing, super busy. We had young kids at the time, young family. So of course I was home sweating the small stuff with our kids while he was out on the road
Yeah.
doing interviews. And then at the 10th anniversary of Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, um, like about a week before our lives changed in a really dramatic turn, Richard stood at the counter and he was saying, you know what's really cool about the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series? Because by that time we had like, I don't know, 7 or 8 books in the series. And I said, what? And he's like, well, it's pretty cool because every 10 years there's a whole new group of people that are sweating the small stuff and that will need these books. And it turns out he was right. And um, about a week later, after we had that conversation, my husband got on a flight to New York to promote his latest book. And on the descent of that flight, he had a pulmonary embolism that took his life. And he was 45, I was 43, and our kids were in high school. And yeah, it was a shock, and it completely shattered our lives. And so it sent me on a totally different trajectory of healing, healing, you know, my going through loss and going through grief. Um, and I really just found the whole process just both absolutely beautiful and also absolutely terrifying. And so I began to sort of witness myself going through loss, and started to keep a journal because I felt like journaling in the early morning would take up that time that he and I used to spend together having coffee and, you know, just strategizing about books, about life, about everything. And out of my journal came, you know, quite an awakening that I went through. And I wrote the book Heartbroken Open, a memoir through loss to self-discovery. And started a whole new kind of path. And then I was asked to write Don't Sweat the Small Stuff for moms. So a couple years after I'd been really in the grief, creating circles for women, just doing all sorts of things, I kind of switched gears. And I didn't leave that conversation, but I went back to the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series, and I wrote a new book in the series, and it was great, and it was a really amazing experience. And then the series has just been going on. You know, it's just been continuing on. It's a tried and true kind of philosophy that sort of kind of paved the way for a lot of people entering the personal development space as leaders. A lot of leaders will tell you, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff was one of the first books, self-help books they read. And you know, it was beautiful because now I see how Richard was really a pioneer in the field of mindfulness and psychology, and in the field of positive psychology. Those terms weren't even out there when he began writing about happiness. He was one of the very first authors to ever write a book with happiness in the title, and it was called You Can Be Happy No Matter What. And in the first paragraph of that book, it says, like, you can be happy for no reason, which became a book in and of itself with Marcy Shimoff, you know. So it's been a really beautiful journey, which brings me to today. You know, and you're right when you said I didn't have to continue, I didn't have to write, but in so many ways, I think one of the best ways we can recover after loss is to search for a deeper purpose and meaning, and also to really strive to kind of reignite that love affair you have with life itself. And
that's really hard, though. That is so hard because, like, my husband's, I'm going to get this right this time. My husband's sister, now not funny. My husband's sister just lost her husband in January. To metastatic melanoma. And it went from a spot here and spread through his brain, and, you know, he passed away. And they are absolutely devastated. And it's hard to tell people to, you know, it's hard to give any such a terrible thing to have happen, and so tricky. I'm sure you know that what that feeling is like. Um,
Yeah, the
I,
first year is
oh,
really rough.
it's
It's so
awful.
rough. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that they're gonna feel better or
No.
that they're gonna do better. You don't believe that in that first year. Nobody does. It's a tough. Those firsts are very, very difficult, and it's devastating. It's a devastating loss
Yeah.
for anybody that goes through the loss of a child or a spouse, prematurely. It's a horrible experience. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like what you just said, search for a deeper meaning and purpose.
And that comes a
I don't
little
know.
bit later, that didn't
Yeah.
come for me like right away. I was just healing.
Yeah.
But after a period of time, for me, I mean, it really helped me to be able to know that I could carry on for him. And
Yeah.
I do think that when we start to understand that we live for ourselves, but we also live for the person that passed, if we carry them with us, then there's something about that idea that helps gives you strength. That you don't have to ever move on from somebody you love that you've lost, but you carry them forward with you. And that's something that really resonated with me. Nobody said that to me, but I felt it. I felt that he was with me and that he wanted me to live my best life. And I also had hoped early on that I would return to a life of joy, but I didn't know. I mean, nobody goes through deep, primal, horrible grief feeling like they're going to return to joy. You just have no idea what the process is going to do for you and with you. So,
Yeah.
but I did find that the path of surrender was really the path that helped me the most. And that was surrender to what had happened, surrender to what is, and surrender to the feelings that would come and the grief that would come. And I really figured out early on that the only way out was going to be all the way in, and to allow grief to come when it came, to not resist it, to be in it. And then lo and behold, as I allowed myself to feel and I allowed myself to cry, I would feel better each time. And it was an emptying. It
Yeah.
would build up in my stomach and I'd feel all these, I'd get even stomach aches and cramps. Then I'd cry really hard. And then I just feel this peace come over me.
Yeah.
And
That describes
so
it pretty well.
yeah, right. So
Yeah.
it's and I think the times that you resist grief when it's present that's the time where it becomes painful, more painful in your body. I remember my body would just hurt all over when I wasn't crying when I needed to, or when I was trying to be strong for my kids, or all the just different ways that we resist grief. And then as soon as I started to learn, like, oh, I need to listen to my body. My body is going to teach me how to heal. Then I really started to make some deep progress.
Yeah. I think we cling to people who can articulate grief because it's just something that it's so tricky to articulate the emotion that goes with that. So I appreciate you being a beacon of hope and light and faith and all those things for people, because I think you just said a bunch of things that will help people for sure. And I think we also heal by sharing our stories and things like that. So I appreciate you sharing that. I know people always say, oh, it's been this year, this 10 years or 5 years or eight, I don't care how many years it is, it's still hard to articulate, and the emotion is still there. So I just think it's really important to share. But people are afraid to do that. People are afraid of it because it makes them feel weak, sad, vulnerable, all of those things.
Well, I think like that's one of the things that as a culture, we do something very unique that other cultures don't. And we push the idea of death so far out, like as if it doesn't exist. And there's some real drawback to doing that. And it doesn't serve us well. There's a couple ways it doesn't serve us well. One is that if you are, not at all thinking about the fact that you have mortality,
Yeah.
then you aren't living as big as you can live. You're not living in the largest expression that you could be. And I think one of the things that happens for many people in loss is that they start to realize that, wow, this shows me really very close, very personally, when death is at your door. It shows you that your mortality is real,
Yeah.
and it could happen anytime to any of us. So it's not a horrible thing or a morbid thing
No.
to actually know that you will one day die. And that's just the reality that we all face, and we hope to have full, long lives, but not everyone is promised a long life. And certainly, my husband was an incredibly vibrant person. He wasn't ill when he died, but he had a condition that we didn't know about. And he was a power through kind of guy. And so, he was experiencing some things that he just didn't pay attention to.
Yeah.
And that's what took his life, suddenly. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson for all of us.
My co-founder, Dr. Katie Eastman, had a pulmonary embolism. She lived through it, but she's got a pretty good blood clot situation going on. So it'll be nice to connect you on a variety of levels to Dr. Katie.
Yeah, she sounds like she lives with
Yeah.
her mortality every day. I mean, and I think that can be a real blessing on some level, but it's hard. I mean, that nobody wants to live with a bomb over their shoulder every day.
Yeah. She would have been here, but she's speaking to a group of therapists, psychologists, and so forth, psychiatrists all around the world in Indonesia tonight at 11 p.m.
Oh,
She's on the West
nice.
Coast, so but I'll make sure and connect you. But it's she would have loved to have met you. She's like, oh
yeah,
I miss it. So you said something really interesting too about everybody, the cycle of every 10 years, people needing your books. I can't agree with you more. I have a cackle full of 20-year-olds, 20-year-old boys. I don't know what to call them. That's what I call them anyway. And I've put the book in each of their Christmas stockings once before.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, no. So I'm super familiar with your books, and I did that same thing. I'm like, oh, here's a book I read that you'll all like, and put it in there. So I think that holds true of that. What do you think of the self-help industry now? Just curious, because it's just like completely exploded, and everybody's posting memes about the way you should live. And I mean, Instagram's so bombarded with quotes and memes and so forth.
Well, I mean, I think it's great in the sense of that there's just a lot of people that are out there that are being positive and putting, really positive messages out there. And I mean, I don't have anything really negative to say. I mean, I think there's people that are doing it from a place of heart, and then there's other people, but that's the case with everything, so I think it's overall, it's a very good thing. The more positivity we have in this world, the better, and I think, as an author, as a teacher, leader of any kind, you got to kind of niche yourself out and focus on what your message is and stay true to what your message is, and try to stay in your own lane. I mean, that's what I do. I kind of try to not pay attention to what other people are doing and just keep doing what I know that I'm supposed to do.
That's my lane. That's what I do too. It's too noisy and unfocused if you don't just stay in your lane. I'm like, okay, I got to stay in my lane.
Gratitude, I mean,
gratitude, change success.
Everybody dancing around, and I think, no, that's not me.
No, exactly. I'm the same way. It's like, just stay in the lane. But I agree with you. I think it's so cool to see all these people have. I love it when another person will come up to me and say, I want to have a book like you do. I want to write a book. I want to do this. I want to do that. That's so much fun. What do you do when people say that to you? I'm sure throughout your life, many people have said, I would like to write a book, and I'd like to actually have it sell too.
Oh yeah. I actually have a book program called bookdoulas.com that I run with my amazing business partner, Deborah Evans. She's a developmental editor, and I worked with her on my last book, From Heartbreak to Wholeness: The Hero's Journey to Joy. And about 5 years ago, we decided to launch this new business called Book Doulas. And oh my gosh, it's been so much fun. We help lots of people write books.
That's so awesome.
And we turn lots of books, we help them turn into bestsellers. So it's been really, really fun. Yeah, if anybody wants to write a book, you can go to bookdoulas.com and see what we offer there. It's just been fantastic, actually. I really love it.
Yeah. I don't want to take up too much of your time either. And people, we don't usually do hour shows anymore. We keep them to about 30 minutes or 40 minutes
Okay.
or so. But I would love for you to hold up the book again and give us
Oh,
like a
yeah.
glimpse of what's in this book. And if there's anything personally I forgot about you or anything like that you want to go back to, let me know. But tell me about the book. What's in this book?
Well, this is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, Every Day 365 Simple Ways to Live a Life You Love. And it's basically a compilation of the best of the best of the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but what they've done is they've taken chapters and edited them down. So it's just one page a day. And I love that because I think when we talk about, helping people create tools and having tools in their toolkits, emotional wellness for resilience, we have to like remember life is a practice, and how you practice really matters when stuff hits the fan and you're going to go through something big. Your day-to-day life practice will really pay great dividends for resilience when you need it. And so this book is really about having something you can put your mind on, your intention, your focus on, that's relatable to your relationships with your family, your relationships at work, and yourself, how you can take better care of your own mental health and wellness. And it's just a thought for the day. It's really beautiful. And I did the Audible book recently. I recorded it. Much of it's written by my late husband. So it made me feel so like close to him, reading his words for him. And it's a beautiful, compilation of the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series, really. So it's just got a little bit of everything in it. And it's a great book for young people to be introduced to, the concepts of happiness, the principles of happiness that we talk about in all of our series. Which are really about understanding how your thinking affects your moods and your feelings, knowing that people are living through separate realities, and also how to live presently. So all of these things are really kind of jam-packed in every, in every Don't Sweat book. But yeah, it's going to be, I think, a really great book for young people, especially to just sort of introduce them to some concepts and get them kind of into a more consciousness place of study.
yeah, very needed right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so in every marriage, when you write a book, the other person is reading the book and editing the book and so forth. How much of the original book is your writing, your editing, your everything?
Well,
And how much is
interestingly, they took from 4 books, I believe, from when I read it, and they took from Don't Sweat the Small Stuff in Love, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff for Women, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff with Your Family, and Don't Sweat the Small Stuff at Work, and then the flagship book, 5 books. So they just took, I really just edited. I didn't really do, a lot of new stuff. I wrote an introduction for this book, but yeah, I think it was really powerful the way they shortened everything down so that it's just a thought for the day.
Go back to you in kindergarten. Who are you in kindergarten and growing up? Like, where'd you grow up? Is this what you wanted to be when you grew up? Did you want to do books and things like that, or did you have something else in mind?
Wow. Kindergarten. Wow.
Kindergarten,
I was
Kristine.
really I was really jealous of my beautiful blonde-haired neighbor girlfriend, Debbie. She had long blonde hair and I had a short pixie haircut. And in kindergarten, I was lethally jealous of that hair.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I had red short hair. I think I even had like almost like a red, like almost like a mullety thing, even,
Yeah.
just like trying to grow it out, but it wouldn't or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
that's
no,
funny.
I didn't really know I would ever be an author. I was always like a poet, like I loved writing.
Yeah.
But I never really aspired to being an author. That would have been kind of too big of a dream for me, I think. I didn't honestly didn't really know what I would do. Even when I got to college, I had gotten an academic scholarship to Pepperdine University, and that's where I met my husband. I was
Yeah.
18 and he was 20, and And I honestly, I mean, I was at Pepperdine, and the way I chose my major was I was like, oh, I got to get out of this math class.
That's how I chose mine too. Oh my God, I've never heard anybody but me admit that before. Like anything but math and science, please. I'm working full time and trying to go to school full time. I'm just trying to get a degree here. Anything. That's so funny.
Yeah, so communications was like, oh yeah, that works.
Yeah, anything but math. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even think, I mean, yeah, I think I didn't really aspire to being an author until
Oh,
Richard. I did a lot of things. I mean, I had a career in graphic design and marketing and the business, but I didn't aspire to being an author until Richard invited me to write Don't Sweat the Small Stuff in Love with him.
yeah,
And then he asked me to write Don't Sweat the Small Stuff for Women. So,
yeah.
which I did both of those books. That was my first solo book, but the love book was really fun for us to write together.
Look who's out. Okay, so if you don't know Mel, that's Mel, the podcast kitty.
Oh, hi, Mel.
Yeah, she only comes out if she loves you. So she must love your voice
Aw.
or something. Yeah, she's been on
Aw.
all 700 shows now. She'll go on. No, they said her name. She might come back. But she's a
Oh my
feral
gosh.
cat that we rescued, and
Oh,
she
cute.
lives in my office. And
Oh, cute.
she's 22 years old.
Oh my gosh.
She's
Wow.
amazing. Yeah,
She's moving pretty good for
yeah.
22.
She's an amazing cat. So anyway,
Aw.
that's cute. Right when you said that, that's cute. So yeah, so anything but math. And so if you're like me, so I have all scientist kids, math experts, science experts, like, oh my goodness gracious, seriously. So did you ever have a child go, hey, can you help me with my math?
Oh yeah. I mean, I figure always told my girls what you need to know is 20% off.
Yeah.
You need to know gross sales versus net sales and 20% off.
No, I used to sit in geometry and vocal. I'd be like, I am never using this. I'm like, the only thing I'm ever going to use this for is to measure carpet. Like if I need new carpet, I'm never using this. And the geometry teacher would be like, yeah, you have to be in here. You have to take this class. It's required. And I'm actually good at math. Like I can actually do math. I just hate it. So I would not pay attention in class. And I'd be like, just give me the test. And then I got actually accused one time of cheating on the test. I'm like, I had to take a
Because you did
test.
so well.
Yeah, I did. Yes, of course, right? I had to take the test supervised in front of like the principal's office because I refused to turn in homework. I'm like, just give me the test. I hate this class. I'm never going to use it. I hear it. I can comprehend it. But I agree with you. 20% off, much better math. If you want me to learn math,
If you know 20% off, then you know 40% off, you know?
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. All right. Well, it has been fabulous to get to know you.
You
And
too.
thank you for your time and all your energy and all your great humor.
Oh
And
yeah.
I can't wait to just keep getting to know you. But I just want to say I'm glad you did this book. I think it's so needed and it's going to be so much fun. And our whole Best Ever You network will get behind you.
Oh, thank
And
you.
not that you just need us or I mean, you are already, but it's fun to have purpose and get behind because our group gets behind books and authors pretty well.
Oh, I
It's
love
fun.
that. Thank you so much. Well, every book that you have come out, you always, are so appreciative of anybody that's going to talk about it. So,
Right?
yeah. Right?
Right? Like, hi, you just met me. Could you write a review on Amazon for me?
Exactly.
Did you head
Those
on
were important too, right?
Super funny. Anyway, all right, Kristine. I'm going to just tell everybody your websites one more time. KristineCarlson.com and don'tsweateveryday.com. Hold up the book one more time, just so
Oh
everybody
yeah.
knows.
You can
This
also
is
go, if you want to read more about our story, you can go to don'tsweat.com as well.
okay. Yeah,
Yep.
don'tsweateveryday.com. And
Yep.
what'd you say? Don't sweat?
Don'tsweat.com. Yeah.
Okay. You got them all right. That's
And if
cute.
you want to write a book, go to bookdoulas.com.
That's a big one. I think I'm going to look at that. I'm like, oh, wow, you know how to, because sometimes we put books out. Like I'm going to show you this. I'll probably cut here, but I have a new book out that I just did a
Oh, I
fun little
love
kid book, The
that.
Very Lucky Ladybug.
I
It's
love that.
dedicated to Catherine and Frank, who lost
Oh,
their, husband and father. And basically she loses her spots. The ladybug loses her spots. And her friends, hold on, I'll get to it. Her friends paint them all back on.
I love that.
Cutest little
Oh,
thing ever. I just had this idea for a book in my, so I hired a Fiverr artist. I don't usually do kids books, but
I
it's just
love
so
that.
cute. Yeah,
I want to write a Don't Sweat the Small Stuff for Kids book.
kids, you should for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, she loses all her spots one day and they paint them back on. But yeah, their books are hard, aren't they? You don't know what they're gonna do. It's like,
Yeah, you don't know. And a lot of it's just what's going on in the world and what's happening trend wise and, where people are at. So, yeah. But I do think that Don't Sweat the Small Stuff is very relevant today with as much stress as people are under. And I think the beautiful thing is that in this world where it is so there's all the shiny new things, it's really nice to visit the
brand.
old tried and true because the old tried and true is proven. And there's probably about 100 million people that have read our books by now. So
Yeah.
it's definitely tried and true wisdom.
Yeah, I'm right behind you at like 50,000. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
50,000,
50,000
pretty
is
good.
good. That's good. That's good. Those
Not
are good
100
numbers.
billion, but we're getting there.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Breakthrough moments. Okay, where can people find you in social media, or are you not on there? Like
Oh
you
yeah, no,
actually.
no. I have social media. So Kristine_Carlson is my handle for Instagram. Kristine Carlson on Facebook.
Perfect.
Don't I think it's Don't Sweat the Small Stuff page on Facebook. Yeah, I'm all over. So you can probably just go to my website and find those handles too.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, it's been great to have you. Thank you for being on the Best Ever You show. Thank you
Thank
for all
you,
those laughs and
Elizabeth.
smiles.
Can't
All
wait
right.
to promote this to my audience
Yeah,
too.
it should be
Thank you
really
so
fun.
much.
All right,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you for being here with us here on the Best Ever You show. Remember, we are so grassroots and husband funded. It's scary. I always say that, grassroots and husband funded. And it's hilarious. I don't do any advertising. We're coming up on almost 6 million downloads now. So I
Oh,
love it when you guys get a hold of the shows and embrace the authors and the books and all that stuff. So keep doing what you're doing. We moved over to iHeartRadio and Spreaker. So we have a new home because we grew. So we're all excited about that, and just keep following us. This might be the last show I do for 2025. I'm not positive, but or for 2024. So I'm not positive. Maybe one more, maybe two more. I'm not sure, but anyway, you guys know what to do. All right. Mwah. Thank you, everybody.
bye.
Thank you.